In this video, we're going to give you 7 places you must see if you are taking a trip to New York City. But not only that, 7 places you must eat at. We're giving you all of the information of how we planned the itinerary, how you can plan your trip in a way that is saving you money because you're going to be using those subway systems if you are curious to know how to build the best New York City experience for you. Check this out. All right, we're going on the subway. I have a special guest, my husband, Doug.
All right, for our trip, for us, number 1 was visiting inside the crown of the Statue of Liberty, going all the way to the top.
Yeah, that was so cool.
Yeah, so we talked about, I bought those tickets
Beautiful.
way in advance. There's time slots. I think I picked it for the earliest one that we could get to, so we really had to get up and get going in the morning and get on the subway all the way down there and make sure we got there in time to pick up our tickets from will call. I think we had to go through a security screening and got in line and then got on the first boat that was going out that morning. And so just that alone is a really cool experience. Take a boat and you're seeing the financial district. You can see in the New Jersey on the shore, you can see Brooklyn. So you got like these 3 massive downtown areas with all these buildings, and then you're approaching the Statue of Liberty, and it just continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as you approach it. And you get out and can walk all around there and just take tons of pictures from down below looking up.
This is the place too where I also couldn't stop taking photos. It was like every place had a different vantage point. I was like, oh, I want to get this one. And it was just so pretty. The Statue of Liberty is such a representation of this country, and it is what gave me hope as an immigrant. When you see images of the Statue of Liberty, that it gives you hope for a new tomorrow. And just to be in there and to see her in all her glory, it was just really impactful and really beautiful.
Yeah, and so since we had the tickets that we could go to the crown, it allowed us access to everything else. I think you need some tickets to get to different stuff, so we were able to go into the pedestal areas, and then you can go up to kind of the pedestal to sort of where the base of kind of her feet are at. So that's a ticket I think you've got to get access to that as well too. And then we got to go inside, and then we got access to start going up the stairwell to go to the top. It's steep and it's a tight spiral to go up, but it's incredible. You're seeing the inside of the structure of you're literally crawling up the feet and the legs and the body and all that, and you're going up and up and up, and it's just a couple feet away from you of seeing the inside of this structure. I think they said that the metal that it is, it's only the width of like 2 pennies, super thin metal of what the Statue of Liberty is made out of. And you keep going, and eventually you kind of pop up into this little bit of an opening, and there it is. The windows are right there in front of you. It's a small little room. There was a couple of employees there that could tell us information, answer questions. When it's a lot busier, they do have a little bit of a time restraint. I think you only get a certain 10-ish minutes or so in the crown and stuff. But man, it's so cool. You take pictures out the window, see everything, and your turn's over, and then you gotta head back down the spiral staircase and go back down. It was amazing. It was
worth the climb.
It was so cool.
So cool. Number 2 was the top of the rock. The observation deck was gorgeous.
There's 5 main observation decks in Manhattan. The Empire State Building, One World Observatory, which is down in the financial district, the building that they built in after 9/11 and stuff. That one's really tall. There's Edge NYC, and then there's Summit One Vanderbilt. Okay, they're all in a little bit different locations throughout the island, and they all have different options and experiences. So I picked Top of the Rock. It's not like the newest. It's a little bit on the older side. It's been around for a lot longer. It doesn't have as much of adding options to do this and do that. It's a little bit more straightforward, but the reason I chose that one is the combination of the price as well as the location. When you go to the Empire State Building one, it's a great view, but you don't get to see the Empire State Building, and that's such an iconic building. Mm-hmm. So at Top of the Rock, you get a cool view of the Empire State Building.
Yeah, that was my favorite part of going up there. The Empire State Building is my favorite building in New York. Whenever I go, I always have to take a picture of it, but to be able to see it in that viewpoint, it was just breathtaking. taking. I couldn't stop staring at it. I just goggled at it. Goggled?
Number 3 is the High Line, walking the High Line and getting all the experiences of that.
The next day, my other daughter got sick and I had to stay with her in the hotel. So just know that sometimes that happens and you have to just roll with it and make the best of it. So Doug and Haley went about town and had their own New York adventure.
The High Line is awesome. It's this old abandoned elevated railroad track that they basically decided to turn into something that would be great for the city. And so it's a walkway and there's all these sculptures and plants and all this stuff. There's benches to sit, hang out, and all that. There's just kind of people everywhere walking around. It's really cool. Mm-hmm. So just like before, if you want to do the High Line, you want to package things up with it that you could do. So for example, if you were to start like at the north side of the High Line, there's the Vessel. This is an amazing structure that they built a few years ago. Really cool to check out. And there's Hudson Yards right there, a bunch of new buildings they just built. There's like a mall inside one of the buildings there and all that. So you can do some stuff on the north side. There's a couple blocks from there, there's Macy's. It's the largest department store in the whole world. It's this massive building. It's huge. And if you go all the way to the top floor in the Macy's, they've got some of the only remaining, it's a wooden escalator. Super cool. We went and rode on that. And it's on the top like 1 or 2 floors if you go find it. It's really cool. And this Macy's is massive. There's the Moynihan Hall train station that they just built. It's this several $billion train station that they built recently. It's got this really beautiful glass roof to it and all that. So you can do a couple of things in the north area and then go on the High Line, enjoy the High Line. There's beautiful plants, walking, all that, great views of a bunch of cool things and stuff. And then when you approach the south side of the High Line, there's a bunch of really cool things you can do there as well too. So we went and enjoyed this thing called Little Island, super cool man-made island just off the side. And it's got like a park, it's got all this topography, a bunch of really cool stuff to walk around there and do. And then that's right near Greenwich Village. And so that would be great to spend some time there. There's Bleecker Street Pizza is a famous pizza place, kind of like Joy's Pizza that we were having. And then we went to this bakery. It's called Patisseria Rocco, I guess is that how you pronounce it. Delicious bakery, incredibly great price stuff. You can get all kinds of different things for really inexpensive. Go in there, pop into that bakery. Really cool stuff. And then you could pair that with Washington Square Park is right there, and then the Washington Muse.
Wow, I'm so glad you experienced all that without me.
Sorry, it was great.
Number 4 is the Brooklyn Bridge. Holy moly, beautiful and breathtaking. Brooklyn Bridge, baby.
And that's really fun. There's a lot of energy right there. There's all these little street vendors selling all kinds of junk and stuff on the street. So
I bought the cutest tote bag from there. It was
fun to
so
see.
Pretty.
Bring some cash. Be ready to buy a few things and stuff like that.
And maybe a little tote bag too, or a backpack.
Yeah, something to carry if you're going to buy something. Yeah, something to carry it in. Yeah. So we just started walking across the Brooklyn Bridge. It was really cold that day. But
bought a tea to walk across. To get you a little drink, that you can take along with you.
Yeah, but it's just cool. Everyone's so excited. Everyone's doing the same thing, and so everyone's all taking pictures everywhere. And there's just cool skyline. And
as a content creator and I love photography. I love video making. I wanted to stop every 2 seconds and just take pictures because it was so beautiful. You see Brooklyn on the other side, and then you see Manhattan, and it's just like this really nice midpoint of these two different worlds. But it's like, which one do I look at? Which one is prettier? But, I mean, I'm a little bit biased, but I loved the Manhattan part way more than the Brooklyn part. But I was excited to go to Brooklyn. I had never been to Brooklyn before, and I had never ever gone on a walk in this bridge.
Right next to that is what's called the Manhattan Bridge, and you can also walk across the Manhattan Bridge. We didn't do that, but kind of like I was talking about the observation decks, when you're walking across the Brooklyn Bridge, you don't get to see the Brooklyn Bridge. So if you walk on the Manhattan Bridge, you've got a view of the Brooklyn Bridge the entire time as well. So a secondary option is the Manhattan Bridge, and you can walk across that one as well too. They're right next to each other. Number 5 was going to a Broadway show as a family. For us, we chose to go to Aladdin. That was just an amazing experience.
Oh my gosh, yes, Aladdin was so good. It was so funny. I did not think that Aladdin was going to be this hilarious, but I think we laughed the most on this with the show. So if you are wanting to have a show that is really family friendly, you would love Aladdin. It is so hilarious. I find it to be one of the best shows that I've ever been to, and I haven't been to that many shows in my life, but it was definitely a must-see.
Yeah, I was in this really historic building that had been around for over 100 years and stuff. So whether it's Aladdin or whether it's something else, go to a Broadway show. Really cool experience. I mean, it was just phenomenal actors. We got dressed up a little bit and kind of just enjoyed the whole process. Make sure you get there early. So you can kind of enjoy the theater, walk around, check it out, go to the bathroom, get some snacks, all that kind of stuff. It's just amazing. The acting was incredible. Yeah. The stage, everything that was going on with the stage, and
it was so
all the moving parts and everything.
Yeah, acrobatics were insane.
Fireworks and stuff going off, and it was fantastic. So.
And the dance numbers, I was just like, I just want to be up there dancing with them. It was really fun. Number 6 was a carriage ride through Central Park. Magical.
NYC Horse Carriage Rides, established 1979. They've got multiple different options. You can do a shorter ride, you can do a longer one, it'll go farther. It's pretty cool. They have stops, and they'll stop and you hop out and they'll take your picture at some of the main kind of popular stuffs throughout Central Park. So we got some kind of cool family photos and stuff that they did.
It was so fun. Yeah, our carriage ride driver was so delightful. He was telling us everything about what every movie that had been filmed at the park, and he did a really good job at just taking photos and making us feel really, really welcome.
Yeah, and number 7 for us was visiting the 9/11 memorial area. Our children weren't born yet before that happened, and so that was an opportunity for them to kind of start to grasp what happened on that day, for sure.
Yeah, even though it was very somber to be there, it was also really beautiful.
You really feel the weight of what happened that day and how many lives were lost and everything. It's really cool, but it's very impactful and a little bit somber. It just has a totally different feel than anywhere else in Manhattan and stuff. And that was really impactful for our daughters to see that and kind of learn about something that happened before their lives. And it was impactful for me to just remember, that happened over 20 years ago now, and I was just turning 18 right then when that happened, so it kind of brought me back to feelings of that day and that time, what happened then and stuff. So I thought that was important and impactful.
Yeah, I agree with Doug. They created the most gorgeous water feature that has the people's names that were lost that day written on the stone, and just being able to read even just one name, knowing that even if just that one person died, that would have been horrific, right? But there were so many names that were represented around that fountain. And what I felt was this feeling of, and this is so odd because I know that it's going to sound odd for me to say that it felt like there was beauty out of ashes, because nothing beautiful can come from someone murdering a bunch of people, right? It doesn't feel like that's the case. But with God turns things that are awful into something beautiful. And that was a huge reminder that when there was this attack on our country, before that place looked like destruction, and it looked like, death. And then years later, now it looks like hope. It looks like life. There is water, and there's people that are living in a different way, but they are still living in hope that there's going to be something good that comes out of always something bad. but we're gonna give you the top 7 places we ate at that we believe you are gonna be so excited that you stopped by and took a bite out of these amazing, extraordinary cuisines. At number 1, Joe's Pizza. Holy moly, right? We wanted to have that every day?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of locations of Joe's Pizza all over Manhattan, so pick where you want, but it's kind of what you think of when you think of New York pizza, and so you get kind of a fun, cool experience to walk up and pick a slice. The location that's pretty close to Times Square.
Yeah.
And so depending on the day, we went a couple of times there, and so
it's
that
42nd
first time,
Street, right?
That first time we just walked right in and they were ready for us. But the second time we went, it was maybe a 20-30 minute line.
That was one of the best pizzas I've ever had in my life. I was just in heaven. And I had the pepperoni pizza. It was so good.
Number 2 is in Koreatown. It's called Grace Street, and oh my, does it have some insane desserts. We went there late one night and had just a massive amount of desserts. The cheesecake was incredible. Sorry, honey, you make an amazing cheesecake, but that was maybe a tiny bit better. Cheesecake was
I don't
insane.
even care because it was just
Cheesecake
it was so good. And I had the beignets. They were insanely delicious. Okay, coming in at number 3, Los Tacos Número 1. They were so good. We have some tips for you for going to tacos number 1 because there's a process, okay?
Yeah, that's just off of Times Square there, Los Tacos number 1.
Our first time there, and
so,
our daughter got sick, so she was like super.
Not from the food. She
had a cold.
She had a bug.
She had a cold. So our experience of that is a little raw. The food is actually very good. It's delicious. It is the type of establishment that you go into and there's no chairs. You have to stand and eat your tacos, which totally fine with me. But if you go there, just know that you need to be prepared for how to order your tacos correctly.
Because they're trying to get so many people through, right. They're kind of taking it pretty seriously and stuff. So
you order at the cash register and then you have a little ticket and they get your ticket. The taco person, like there's individual taco people that serve the tacos, and then they get your ticket and then they call you with the number and you go up to them and then they tell you, do you want everything con todo? You want it with everything, which means with cilantro and onions and salsa. And if you say con todo, they put that on there. But if you don't want that on there, you could just say, I just want the meat or not. It was a little complicated because we have children and they want, they don't want it con todo. They want it with not with this or that.
You have to pick what tortilla,
so
corn or flour and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so it's loud. It's but it's fun. It was fun. I liked it.
It was worth going for sure.
So, number 4, this is a hidden gem. It's called Sushi 35 West. Incredible quality sushi for a very good price. You've got to know where to go and where the heck it is because it's a little hidden, and you got to know how the process goes to get that as well too. I ordered online. I walked over there, and there's this smoke shop, and you go inside the smoke shop, but then you turn to your right, and there's kind of this doorway, and then there's this weird dirty stairwell to go upstairs, and so you don't really even pay any attention to the people in the smoke shop. You just walk in, turn, and then you go up these stairs. It's almost like you're in an alley, but you're inside of a building on the second story, and there's just this little window, and I said, hey, I ordered some food online. I said, oh, Doug, here you go, and they already had it ready to go and everything, and so I looked in, and there's just all these guys just making just insane amount of sushi, and they got all these bags to go and all that. There's 3 tables in this little alleyway and a couple of chairs, so you might be able to sit down, but don't be expecting to sit down. Probably be planning on taking it to go.
Yep.
But it wasn't all that expensive, and oh my gosh, it was incredibly good sushi.
So good.
It was delicious.
Okay, so number 5, Liberty Bagels. If you love bagels, holy moly, the types of bagels, the kind of spread that you can have on these, like you're gonna be blown out of your mind of all of the different kinds of cream cheese that they can have.
Really big bagel shop. I don't know, 40, 50 different flavors of bagels you can choose from, and probably 40 or 50 different flavors of schmear of
cream cheese.
Cream cheese.
And they have also tofu cream cheese. So if you don't do dairy, you definitely are saved by the bell with the tofu. And they have actually good, I mean, what did I have? I had the chives. I had the tofu chives, and it was incredibly delicious. One of the most delicious bagel experiences I have ever had. I wanted to go back.
I had a toasted cinnamon raisin bagel with maple bacon cream cheese.
Yeah, you did.
It was delicious.
You did.
So
That was
good.
so good.
Loved it. Yeah. Number 6, this was one of your favorites, and it's called Maman.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe they have a couple different locations around Manhattan as well.
They have amazing coffee and the best matcha latte that I had in Manhattan.
It's kind of like a brunch place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, this is when we went to Maman for my birthday brunch, and it was really, really good. Then I got the avocado toast with the smoked salmon on top. It's delicious. It's very good. If you love like Parisian vibes and bougie coffee shops, this is going to be a place you definitely want to stop in, especially if you love coffee and you love tea. I love my cup so much that I brought it home and I still have it. And coming in at number 7, last but very not least, this is my favorite restaurant. It's called My Mother is Han, and it is a Korean cuisine restaurant that is delightful. Holy cannoli. I've been to New York a lot. This is one of the restaurants I continue to go back to because it is just that good. Their kimchi, right? Their kimchi was incredibly delicious. Now that we've shared our favorite 7 top places to see and 7 top places to eat in Manhattan, now we're going to be sharing with you just a little bit of the logistical aspect of planning the trip to New York and the things that maybe we wish we would have done differently. So hopefully your trip is even better than ours. Okay, Doug, you are the champion of itinerary planning, and you wow me every time we go on a trip because I feel like I am with a professional. I felt like Doug was like a New Yorker.
I use Microsoft OneNote as my program for kind of keeping all of the information for a trip. Mm-hmm. So I set a dedicated page just for that. And so I'll put information about our flight, our hotel, and then I start breaking it down by days, what's going to happen each day. Sometimes I'll make notes depending on just neighborhoods, certain areas, those types of things. That way I can save links to maybe a place's website. If I need to buy tickets to something later, I can just put it there. This is months in advance, and so I'm just kind of collecting all that information. So I use OneNote as a place to kind of gather that. I use Google Maps, and you can create your own list of saved areas. And so for this trip I just put NYC, and so every time there was something of interest I would click the save on Google Maps, but I'd save it as NYC, and so it was own separate list category for my Google Maps account. That's super helpful. So if you're out somewhere, you can just pull up your map and zoom in, go, oh yeah, that place is just 2 blocks over this way, that type of thing. So I use that.
That's brilliant. I'm not laughing at you. This is amazing.
So then I use Google Maps is more for stuff, locations, parks, museums, activities, those types of things. I tend to lean more towards Yelp for the food side of things.
Who needs Yelp?
So I also create a separate list in my account on Yelp for that separately. I find that if I put all of the food stuff onto the Google Maps, it becomes a little too much, so I like to keep them separate. I mean, just for this trip alone, I had about 140 food places saved in the Yelp account, so that would have been way too much to have been on the map. It would have been made a mess there. So I like to keep those separate, and then I'll make notes of restaurants in certain areas and locations, dessert places, those types of things.
That's brilliant. That's really cool.
There's some websites that are out there that you can go to that will, top attractions for blah, blah. And you just kind of start with, okay, what are the big things, here? Yeah. And you kind of structure it with like, okay, here's the real big things. Let's get those on the list first. And then I usually go to YouTube videos, look for stuff, Manhattan, things to do, whatever. And you might end up finding a few channels that work really well.
What I love about that is that you blow me away by not only being resourceful like before the trip. Like I was the type of person who would go somewhere and I would just go and be like, okay, what do you do? And then you miss out on that because either the tickets, you needed to buy them, you know, like with the Crown, I would have gone there and like expected to be able to buy the ticket at that time. And I know a lot of people are like that, and thank God for people like Doug that are, you know, intentional and like very detail oriented and are proactive. Doug has taught me a lot about being proactive in life, and I really enjoy that you have prepared that way. And I didn't know that you used those programs. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's good because then I can, when I'm months ahead planning, I like to use my computer, but then it syncs up with my phone.
Yeah,
and so then when we're
totally
out,
awesome.
I can just got all the notes there on the phone and everything.
Yeah.
As I was watching, I really gravitated towards a YouTube channel called Here Be Bar. The guy lives in the area, lives there, and he just puts out tons of video, tons of content. And I watched tons of stuff on his. He had really cool things. So as you mentioned, what I think is valuable and wise to do is you pick, okay, today we're going to do these 2 big things or these 3 big things, but then you strategically place in, okay, well, there's one little thing we can do for 15 minutes before this. It's right around the corner. And then after this, there's another thing we can do for 30 minutes. And so that way you're not just zipping all around,
Yes.
going from one big thing to another big thing, and then you're just wasting all this time kind of going, and you're just only knocking off just, okay, we did the top like 8 big things or whatever.
Right.
You're getting this full experience of all these little nuggets involved with the process as well too. So it slowly builds into this full day of activity after activity, thing after thing. And sometimes it's literally just 5 minutes. We're going to go look at this interesting sculpture that's around some corner that nobody knows about, take a picture of it, whatever.
I literally did that, and that was so fun when Doug would be like, oh, I have a surprise for you guys. And we would turn the corner and there'd be something like really cool. Like
That's called needle threading a button. It's just a sculpture that's just some artwork that's randomly on the side of the road right there. I think it's important to mention that we did this trip in the fall. Mm-hmm. We went at the beginning of November.
Yeah.
So weather-wise, we might have been doing a lot different stuff than what we had been doing. If we had been going in the spring or the summer, we would have been doing more probably Central Park type stuff and some other things there that we knew weather would have been good.
I know.
We weren't sure how the weather would be, so I had to plan accordingly to hopefully we get to some of this stuff, but some of it's going to be inside, those types of things. So we were fortunate. We had cold. It was cold, but we did have good weather as far as it wasn't nasty, like rainy or snowy or anything like that. And so the time of year that we went also dictated what we chose to do on the itinerary as well. So
yes, I feel like it was such a beautiful trip. I've been to New York many, many times, and my favorite times to be there are in the summer, in the spring, and in the fall. Obviously, winter is really cold. Not the
10
winter.
months out of the year,
Not the
favorite
winter.
time to
It's
go.
really cold in the winter and it snows. I mean, if you want that vibe of snow and being really cold, then totally make your trip based around that, you know? But I just feel like when I go to New York, I want to be outside, I want to be walking around. And in the summer, it's hot and humid and it can rain at any point. So bring an umbrella that you could just stick in your bag. It really is a really beautiful place any time of the year. It's got such beauty each season. But
I did have secondary things as kind of options to do had it been horrible weather and we needed to, have more inside activity type things and stuff. So
just so you know, we do have a what to pack for New York video if you want to know what I brought as far as like style things and how I styled them. And I give you so many outfit ideas in that, and I show you everything that I packed so that you can be really well prepared. I will leave that in the description box below.
So in regards to getting a little more specific on New York, I think a couple of things. One, there are 3 airports around Manhattan, and none of them are in Manhattan. They're outside. And so figure out what airport you're going to be flying into. There's Newark, LaGuardia, and JFK. Then figure out how you're going to get from the airport. Most likely you're probably staying in Manhattan. That's what I would advise. You're really going to save a lot of time, although the cost is going to go up. You're saving a lot of time on travel because the majority of the activities are in Manhattan. And so it's going to be way better to be home based there. And so have a plan for getting from the airport to Manhattan. We flew into JFK. I'm always trying to be frugal and save money. I wanted to take the Long Island Railroad, which is a train that goes straight from the airport right into Manhattan. But because it was...
We had 10,000...
Because it was cold weather, we had quite a bit of luggage. We needed to be prepared with jackets and coats and pants and sweaters and all that stuff. And so we had a lot of luggage.
We just had a backpack. Totally.
So we decided to take an Uber XL. We had to fit all the luggage in there. It's only 10 miles or so roughly from the airport to where we were going into Manhattan. And it took over an hour because of the traffic at that time of day.
And it was what, like almost $100?
Yeah, it was. It was. I think it was over $100 for the Uber XL for that. And then additionally, I'd recommend choosing a hotel that is very close to one of the major subway stops. In order to really save money and have a great trip into Manhattan, you really got to learn to lean into the subway system. And I got a tip for you and stuff, but you want to pick a hotel that's really close to a major subway stop. So one that's got a lot of the lines intersecting there. That's going to save you so much time in the morning when you're getting started and in the night when you're coming back to the hotel and everything. It's really crucial. Pick a hotel. We picked one that was literally, it was like 3 minutes to a massive...
which one did we pick?
Yeah, so I picked a hotel that was right by 34th Street and Herald Square. That's a really big subway station that got us to a lot of places without having to do a lot of transfers. It's right next to the huge Macy's that's there on 34th Street. So we were constantly going in and out of that station. That was super helpful. And then you really got to just be comfortable with the subway system. I used a ton of apps, and the one that I highly recommend as the very best app is what's called City Mapper. There's a lot of apps out there for New York, but definitely the one I landed on as the best one would be City Mapper, as well as NYC Transit was pretty good as well too. But City Mapper is excellent when you're trying to figure out to get from where you are to where you want to go. You basically just type in where you want to go, and it'll actually show you walk here to this entrance, the northwest corner of this intersection, because subway stations have multiple entrances into them.
They're so confusing. So
you could take one entrance and have to walk a quarter to a half a mile in the station trying to get to the platform you need to get to and everything as well. So it helps you as far as which stairs to go down. And then it even says, should you get in on the front of the train, the middle, the back? And that's all calculating based upon where you're going to get off to get you to the most optimum exit to get to where you want to go. So it really gives you all the information, saves you a ton of time, and it really makes it simple once you do it a couple of times. And I kind of practiced at home here. I just, typed in stuff as if I was there already and kind of got used to it before we went, and it worked incredibly well. So I highly recommend that as the best app to use.
All right, we're going on the subway.
As a family, having kids, we ultimately decided to get the cards, the Metro cards. When we first got there, we just went and bought 4 of them, did the week pass. I thought that was better. You can do it on your phone nowadays, but with having kids and all, it just made it easier. They thought it was super cool. They got to grab the card and swipe it and walk through, and then we'd collect all 4 of them.
And honestly, we wanted to put the subway as our top 7 things to see in New York, but it really was fun. There were some times, was one time where Maddie went into the subway and then it was about to close. And we're like, come back. So you do have to be cautious. There's a lot of things, moving and lots of people. So I understand some people's reservation with the subway system, but just know that it is very, very efficient and it saves you a ton of money because Ubers get super expensive in New York. It adds up a lot. So if you are willing to have that little bit of discomfort of not knowing where you're going, but knowing that you're going to have this app that's going to be helping you. And it's okay, you know, sometimes it's okay to get lost as well. Like if you get lost, God is going to help you find your way. But the subway system was really, really helpful. I literally thought that Doug had studied Manhattan, like the maps or something. I was amazed at how easily he was guiding us through. I felt like I was following someone who had lived in New York for years and years.
I mean, disclaimer, we walked a ton on this trip. So
oh my gosh, we walked a lot.
I think I did the most. As a family, I averaged maybe, what did I say, like 11 miles a day, something like that. So it was, we
walked
had
a lot.
We had a packed schedule, and we were taking the subway, and so that means more walking and stuff. But
I'm not typically like I want to be walking that long a person, but because I had it in my mind that we were going to walk so long, I think I was just like, okay, I made sense that we were going to be out for a really long time, and bringing the right shoes is incredibly important. So I will leave the link of shoes that I think were insanely comfortable. I wore my Chucks the whole time. I wore black Converse, and I wore these New Balance shoes, and they were so comfortable. I did not get one blister, you guys, not one blister with all the walking that we did. Like literally walked 11 miles per day, and with the Converse and those New Balances, didn't get one blister. So, but I have worn them. Like it's not like I brought, you know, they weren't brand new and I broke them in there. I had already walked a lot in my Converse, so they were nice and broken in.
Don't bring a brand new pair.
Don't bring a brand new pair.
And be willing to give up a small bit of style, maybe for the sake of the comfort, because that would ruin your trip.
No way, Jose. Because if you watch my video, you're gonna look so stylish and cute with your Converse and your New Balances.
If your feet are in pain, that's gonna really mess up your trip.
Yeah,
so make sure you've got something that's comfortable.
It is definitely worth looking into to going to New York, and definitely worth the work behind it to plan the trip so that it could be the trip of your lifetime. Right? And we are done. I cannot believe how long this video is, but I hope that this gave you insight into maybe some of the things that you didn't know about, and just giving you wisdom before your trip to New York City. Leave us a comment down below and let us know, when are you going to New York, and when you do travel, please let us know what was your favorite part of New York City. We would love to hear from you.
Get out of here.
That's all you're gonna say?
Yeah, it's New York. We're done.